Why did you lose the 1.9 something 6 million pupils or students?
1.9.
You almost lose 99 or 98%.
1.92.
Yes, percent.
Oh God.
Of the people enjoying primary one. Leave alone when you calculate and you say 80 million. You're seeing 80 million because you are seeing primary 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But I want you to follow a cohort. You know cohorts? Follow a cohort, a group of people who joined primary 1 together. By the time you get to primary 6, to finish senior 6, there is 80,000. They have all fallen off.
That's the current situation.
That's the current situation. Now, it is not that Uganda is terrible. This happens also in several other countries. A big population of students fall off before they get to the university.
But the dropout rate for Uganda is
alarming. It's alarming. Even with free primary education and secondary education that is free up to senior 4, even now up to senior 6, now you still have people who are falling off. And you know what is partly causing this? It's obviously a number of factors. When you put free primary education, the president has been very, very, very critical on this. Some schools are still charging things, money, uniform, development fees, lunch fees. And these are the things that deter students to come to school. Other factors is that some of them lose interest in studying. Others, you have a high population of students who are being impregnated, others being raped, others early marriages, others they come from homes that are so poor that when a girl meets a boda guy who can give her 1,000 every day, she would rather go sleep with him, and at the end of it she will get pregnant and fall off. The teenage mother level, if I give you statistics, you'll be shocked. There is a number of teenage mothers along the chain that fall off.
And which is originating from that?
What is originating? Obviously, there is issues of poverty, the issues of lack of proper sensitization on the current ways of fighting early pregnancies and early marriages. There's a lot we need to do, a fundamental overhaul of the system in the way we sensitize the people, the population, and the training you give actually our teachers, even the law enforcers, how they can follow up these issues and make sure there is proper follow-up and prosecution of all the perpetrators who get our girls pregnant, who get our girls out of school. Now, I wanted to show you the bigger problem we're having. That's the biggest problem we're having as a country. And government is doing all it can. By the way, it would have been worse if it wasn't for free primary education and free secondary education. But I want you to ask yourself, all the students that fell off along the way, how do you cater for them?
Let's start from, I want to go back with you.
Yes.
And we reach at where you mentioned government, and I'm very much objective and balanced in our discussion.
That's okay, fair enough.
Considering the three key role stakeholders in this feeling of a policy gap, especially the challenge which we have assessed. The first one, the problem I identified, or the gap, school dropout. We have in government in a place. It brings in universal primary education, universal secondary education. That's where we are. And also having a parent who should make a contribution. We have a who must take a responsibility. Those who are not either orphans. And finally, we also have the teacher. The government has, those local government leaders, those school management committees. I understand that
the PTAs and school management committees
and so forth. Then finally, we have struggled with this problem since 1997 of school dropout. UNDP,
even before that,
UNDP, I'm assessing the UPE. Part of the assessment I'm focusing on the UPE, the government intervention, to see how the education can
create accessibility to school education.
So now, since 1997, then 2005, there was a report of UNDP that was produced by the United Nations Development Program, and their secretariat were conducted a research here on concerning the progress of UP in Uganda, and it was realized by 2005 out of the increased enrollment that hiked from, in terms of rate, from 2 million to 7 million. But by 2005, it was realized that it's only 3.5 out of 7 million, 3.5 which was able to make it to secondary school. Around 2.5, it was 2.5, not 3.5.
2.5.
Lower than 2.5 million of the enrolled students. We are talking of enrolled to primary one. And then you do UPE.
I would even doubt the figures where you have 2.5 million people.
You will cross-check.
Entering senior one?
You will cross-check.
Entering senior one?
Those who completed.
No, that's impossible.
Yeah, those who completed.
That is still impossible. Ask me why.
So you doubt the report?
I actually trash the report.
Really?
I have covered education for the last 13 years. I would want the ministry or anyone to show me a year when you had even 2 million pupils entering senior one. That is not there.
So that was the conclusion. Those who completed going to senior.
That's not there. You can never have. This country has never had 2 million students sitting in primary at once. I will actually tell you, before we got into COVID, we had a total of close to 1 million of senior 1, senior 4, and senior 6. Unless you're telling me they combined P7, senior 4, and senior 6 candidate classes. But still, we've never even hit the 2 million.
You revalidate the information when you go for the break?
Yes.
It's reserved for now?
Yes, sure.
But moving forward, we realize that there has been a challenge of school dropout rate. And the three stakeholders having key role to play, but the government always is a drive. Because if I say the government, I'm talking about the executive, the state welfare, which is determined by the head of state. That's what I mean. When you read our constitution, it will describe what.
I don't know where you're heading.
Yes, there's where I'm heading. It's okay.
I'm following.
So now, those who designed the policy, there should have been a foresight.
Which policy are we talking of?
The UPE, the Universal Education Policy. Those who designed the Universal Education Policy and the program of UPE, the Education White Paper, there is having foresight and insight. Number one, to ensure that the parent is supposed to be playing a role in this, but also we as government, the challenge, one of the impediments, the gaps that will happen, they will tend to be dropout. How are we going to fight this?
Actually, when you look at, I've read the UPE policy. It has roles that are supposed to be played by different stakeholders. Roles that should be played by government, roles that should be played by the parent, roles that should be played by the community and opinion leaders, school management committees. There are different stakeholders brought into play. The biggest problem you have is having a very nice policy that is never implemented. I'll give you a very simple example. One of the requirements of the success of UPE is that every parent must provide lunch for his or her son that is going to school, son or daughter that is going to school. I want you to tell them, the deeper reality here is that they could only be like only 10% or 20% of the parents who provide lunch to their students, to their children who are going to school. That failed. So you expect a child that is very hungry to concentrate in class in the afternoon. Most of these people, actually parents, they cannot even focus to do work in their own places during lunchtime. They expect their daughters and sons in primary 4, 5, 6, and 7, those ones who actually go for a full day, especially upper primary, you expect them to focus and settle in class and study during lunchtime and even till evening on an empty stomach.
Let me come to you about that.
And that's where the problem is. We've not supported government. We have made fundamental mistakes as parents, as community leaders, as Ugandans in playing our role to ensure and they can do that.
And which must be streamlined.
What
And in this, to me, you will make this substantiate better than me if at all we are on the same page. It was, I don't know how you can call it. You can't babysit citizens. Babysitting. I'm using that one.
I hear you. I like where you're heading, and that's where you're going.
You wait till state any government want to maintain the him in power. So they kind of sugarcoat a program and you say, please, everybody come and study. Don't worry, provide lunch. There is a better way. To me, as I make my commentary, it should have been done. No, we have come to provide universal primary education. But parents, either you will contribute in kind directly, the food, that maize flour, over 5 kilograms, that weather 1 kilogram of beans, and those who will not do, you are supposed to bring in cash this amount of money. But now, where it became politicized, I come from Kigezi. There is one school in a sub-county called Gwamchuchu sub-county. I was a sub-county chief in 2004. And one of a school which had began to modify it to involve in, especially under through PTA, and the head teacher who modified the way how to reach to the role of a parent. And it was reported to the president during campaign. I'm now bringing the reality on the ground.
Yes, I hear you.
And now said, okay, that school, Choga Primary School, then they said, now you will contribute either 7,000, 10,000 for the food so that we cook for these children at school. And others you can bring either in a kind, by that time either even the cooked food. But when it was realized that that school had passed that good resolution and it was beginning to work, one parent came and said, Mzee, they're asking us food and money. That parent, that head teacher was sacked. That's why I'm saying,
can I respond?
You can come now.
You've brought a very fantastic example of a failed system of managing schools. Mm-hmm. You've actually said it very well. UPE would have done much, much better. I've been involved in rising stories that show the other side of UPE, the good things of UPE, and the bad side of UPE. And you are right when you say UPE was grossly politicized. Mm. When the people heard that the president had brought UPE, to them was Omukuru Museveni at Wadde, His Excellency at Wadde. They did not realize that the truth was he was coming in to leverage them off the biggest contribution that was breaking them. I've looked at studies of the UNESCO that show actually the greatest contribution any family can ever make. That is very straining most families right now, even when you look at your books of account. If you're watching us this morning, it's always money that goes to education and health. So when the people thought the president has given us, they did not think they had a contribution to play. What local people, like what you're doing as a sub-county chief, I think you are doing what every local leader should do. Tell the people you have a contribution which you must make to UPE. I have a father who was a teacher. He still lives and he has retired. He was at Buyanja SS in Chibale district. In his school, which is a USE school, if you didn't afford actually paying and you wanted to stay in a hostel, you'd come with some beans, some maize which can be taken to make flour, some guineas, things that they would collect in a store, and they would actually use that food to serve the school. Now, that is the reality. The parent, you may not have money, but you're a subsistence farmer. You have 10 sacks of maize in your store. All I need is 1 sack, which can be brought at school to support your child. Is stay in a hostel if you're coming from very far away and stay in a hostel where you can study. But also at school, if you don't have enough money to buy food, contribute something. The fundamental mistake we made is to think that government was going to do everything.
And also government in herself to believe that they were going to satisfy the citizens.
The Wananchi followed also politicians who, and you said it very well, it's not only just about NRM. Even guys in DP, UPC, and wherever, FDC, no has just come, I don't want to blame them so much. Those guys did not tell the Wananchi the truth. Tell them, you must contribute. Now you people in NRM, you have to tell the people you have a contribution which you must make to make this system work. But instead, as you're rightly saying, the things were politicized. When the president comes, you report to him, they are charging money from us, they are taking food from us. Of course, charging money was illegal, but you would have to make a contribution where you have, by the way, for urban schools, there's a bit of contribution, financial contribution you are supposed to make. But in some urban schools, in trading contribute anything. And that couples up with a situation where you find teachers were still earning peanuts. By the time UPE started, some teachers were still getting 260,000 shillings. Now some of them, the houses they were renting were like 150,000 shillings. Some of them, they have children who are supposed to go to the universities and they do not even have a single penny or reasonable amount of money they can use to even take their children to universities. Now the reality is that you're in a situation where you do not have any reasonable income and you're a teacher. You don't have even the energy to concentrate in class and teach. The parents are telling them don't even contribute a penny. At school, the children can't even have lunch. Money that comes at times to government, let's be realistic about some of these things here. Good enough, I'm not a politician. Money that is supposed to be coming to some of these schools even delays at times. I've seen situations where even primary schools or secondary schools will take even a full term or 2 months without even getting money from government. We're supposed to be supporting these schools in the absence of the schools paying tuition or school fees. So you have a teacher who has a complete account which is on zero. A parent can't even contribute 100 shillings. Teachers, they are getting their money in peanuts. The parents can't even do their role to contribute even lunch. And then we are saying a school should have first grades. Let's stop being jokers about these things. No wonder that's we're having a higher tuition rate. When such a girl is in such a situation and she cannot even get something to eat, and she meets a boda guy, and I'm not justifying this, I'm just telling you a reality. And the boda guy is a guy telling him I can give you 2,000 or 5,000 every day as long as you can come and sleep with me. That is why these girls get pregnant and even drop out. Let's look at the real core problems and see the things we can do. I'm looking at the Education Service Review Commission, which has been set. If it does not go to the 1 inch to listen to the things, then this is a total joke. But I'm telling you, to make a change, we do not have to always keep here lamenting and asking government to change the things. So we'll go into the takes me and you to look at the reality and see the contribution we can make at primary, secondary, and the university level.
Thank you. Let's go for the commercial break. Stay tuned on Smart 24 TV. You'll hear more of why we are calling for. Indeed, it's a call. Our discussion, it's a call for education and sports policy reforms. And those which are being already maybe approved want effective implementation. And where we are having gaps, realistic gaps, we accept. We have run short of the goal in the education sector, beginning with the primary education, secondary. Then we'll be able to say, we believe Mama, the First Lady, this is Minister, what is happening, and something should be done. Other than that, we are destroying our generation. Please, this is a very pertinent discussion. We'll be happy to see you in the next session.